is your favorite chapter?
It's hard to pick one because, as I said, all the chapters start with a memorable experience, and so many of those experiences are cherished because they were lived with friends or family, and so they stand out, and I really treasure them. But if I were to pick one chapter, it might be on the King's No. So the background for that story is that my father and I went to the movies together, and we don't do that often. It's once every several years. But this movie, The King's No, is about the Second World War in Norway, the start of the Second World War, when there's the German invasion into Norway. And I think the moment is memorable to me because my father lived the Second World War. He's born in 1935. He's well into his 80s now. And so he was 10 by the time the war ended in Norway. So it's very vibrant for him still. And what happens in the film is that some of the leading politicians, they're inclined to surrender to the Germans and accept that Germany is a much bigger country, they have a much bigger army, and why don't we just give up and collaborate? We will save lives, for example. And while this is true, it seems to not be the honorable thing to do. So the king, who has very little formal power, although he has symbolic power, he has little formal power, he is very firm. And the climax of this movie is when the king says that if, as elected politicians, you choose to surrender, I and my house shall have to abdicate. And that's just such a powerful moment. It's a moral choice. It's a courageous choice. And by making this statement, he gives spine to the elected politicians, and they choose to not surrender, but to resist. And I think it's a great illustration of how personal leadership and courage, the self-leadership, is so critical. And once you master some of that, you become more effective as a leader in broader settings. And maybe that makes that chapter stand out for me, together with the fact that I experienced this moment together with my father.
I know that you wrote this book together with several other authors.
Yeah.
You know, why did you choose to do it that way?
Yes, good question. And I do want to acknowledge my co-authors. It's been a very collaborative effort. I think in everything we do in Agnus Consulting, we seek to collaborate with a broad a network of people. And so getting this variety of voices of people and authors from different countries, different cultural traditions, different backgrounds, it just lends richness to the book, I think. And I've really appreciated the contributions which come from very other directions and bring in freshness and variety.